let's try like standing up for a second, and then I'm gonna sit down here. I'm 6'7", so it's always hard to find right angles and stuff like that. I haven't even seen any tall YouTubers that know how to do this correctly, so let's just try this one for now. I apologize, I've been drinking a lot of coffee. I normally make my worst videos there. Let's go talk about Hench herbivore. Now, from what I understand, he really likes nutritionfacts.org. Used to be one of my favorite sources. I tried almost everything from there. The science seemed really solid, but then I realized, oh shit, the guy leaves all kinds of scientific flaws in his theories. And he continues to, not only does he have a book, he doesn't say that at the beginning of every video, that, by the way, I have a conflict of interest, that I make millions of dollars from this idea that no animal products are good. Yeah, I don't think he's listed anything as being possibly healthy. He's gone after everything time after and again. You'll never see too much about monocropping there, and he's full globalist. Let's get the entire world to eat like North Korea. Noodles, broth, we want no meat, 1 steak a month. Okay, so off of that, I watched one video from this guy, Hench herbivore, and he was going after Frank Tufano. I don't know crap about that dude. He's some fitness channel guy. So I'm only going to go after your arguments. I don't remember them all. I watched your video maybe a week ago. But I seem to remember there were a lot of ad hominem attacks about the way that he looked. Well, that's an easy target. Let's go after you. Hey man, what's up with these bulldog jowls? Everybody that has that in the US normally has taken steroids. You get the growth in the face and everywhere when you take the steroids. I'd like to see some pictures of you before. If you have them when you're younger, did you develop that? Or was that there when you were young? Because first off, I think vegans never tell the truth that they're on steroids. Also, that they've grown up on meat. The entire body was built on meat. And then when you switch within 1 year, then you claim, I've been a vegan. I am a vegan. But the formulation of your bone density, your teeth, everything else was done from before. So people don't realize that you might not be telling all of the story. You constantly made a point about orthodoxy in medicine, it seemed. Like, why would you go against what almost every single nutritionist and doctor says on the planet? All right, interesting argument, but that's a really simple one to defeat. Are there any flaws in science ever in history that have ever bothered you, Hench? Nothing? So, I'll have a few here, just off the top of my head. I just penned these down. Hand washing after the morgue. Surgeons didn't like to wash their hands after walking from the morgue straight into the surgery room. They were offended. Surgeons weren't the ones causing diseases. Was that offensive? Many people died for years. Whatever. Move on. Antibiotics. One of the most scary things now on the planet. How much it's overused in many countries. India, overused in cattle. In America, I think I was on antibiotics for every single fever I ever had. My chance of death from that increases dramatically, apparently. Antibacterial soap. That was a failure. That was something we pushed for years. Right? Hand sanitizers. The alcohol hand sanitizers, from what I understand, didn't really kill off all the bacteria you wanted and killed all your good bacteria, and the stuff left on your hand absorbed tons more BPA and other poisons because it's stuck to this gel. So when you touch paper, a newspaper, something like this, you're causing new health problems. Based on the theory that everybody understood, hand sanitizer was good to use after every handshake. Any touch of a desk, a handle. Ooh. What about BPA? And then didn't we move to BPB or something like this that was meant to be the safer one? And didn't they test that the safer one was even worse? This was an orthodox thing that is still pushed all around the world. Plastic bottles for babies is no problem. Circumcision. I don't know if you circumcise in England, but in the US we do that. In Finland it's illegal on boys. That's orthodox. Are you against that or for that? I'm not even going to go into... I was going to go to the difference between countries. Like, we vaccinate for STDs that children are going to get because they can possibly be raped, is the theory. So, in other countries, it's not legal to go ahead and give these STD drugs to children. I can mention the Sackler family and the show ER, right? My father, I used to love watching that show with him. I didn't remember at all because I was a kid that they were pushing fentanyl on us. They kept saying it was a miracle drug and how, wow, the medical world would be changing because of this strong new drug. These are all orthodoxies. From when I've studied vegan athletics specifically, I have gone to Nutrition Facts. I watched it. I tried to help treat my father's prostate cancer with veganism. And a lot of the science from that website. I took it as well. I was taking all the science at the same time. I never had so little muscle mass in my life. I was let go from a team I was on because I was the big center, which I'm really tall, so please forgive this type of angling. There's no way I'm going to look like any other YouTuber on here. I'm not going to get the same physique. I'm stretched out compared to these guys. That's another thing. Hench, you put yourself at 6 foot, 250 pounds. Let's be honest. You're probably doing what most men would do if they're 5'10", which is add a few inches. No problem. But come on, let's look at transparency and honesty here. But you have big industry, so I do feel a little bit bad for that. But you're pushing. No, I don't want to say you're pushing bad stuff. I just want to say, what about these points? People should make their own decisions, for sure. I need to breathe more. So almost all the vegan athletes, the bodybuilder, what's the guy that's the strong man? He didn't grow up as a vegan his whole life. He grew up on meat. So if I switch tomorrow back to veganism, can I then say all the benefits have come from veganism? This is not teaching kids the right stuff, man. You're fat. I don't mind. I've been fat almost my entire life. You can see in my videos I've changed shape multiple times. And at the beginning I was a vegetarian. And I was very puffy. I had no muscles. I don't lift weights. I throw a kettlebell around and I play professional basketball. I went pro in college, what was it, in like 2004 in the US playing for Division 1. Now I play overseas. Not right now. I'm not on a team right now. But I don't even bodybuild. You can see my body changing over time, but I'm sitting there doing very little exercise, kettlebell throws, maybe a little bit of stuff in the gym, 10-20 minutes, but then I'm just really changed to eating a high-fat, low-carb diet, and I'm trying really high carb right now. Speaking of that, I got like 10 eggs boiling right now. They'll hard boil. They'll be fine, man. They'll just be nasty after. I like them more soft. You're pushing experimental diets. There's nothing proven that the vegan diet would be beneficial for everybody around the world. I know in almost every depression-style era, meat was a luxury, huge luxury. If you could get the fat from it, the trimmings, anything, this was life-saving. Eventually, we switched to, on ships in the Navy, what was it? Gruel and molasses. They used to get the fat from the top of cooking beef. And then molasses afterward because they thought the fat was causing scurvy. Little did they know, if they would have given some liver, probably fine. But, all right. Yeah, so again, I'm just going to ask, is there any flaw in the science? Is there any? Because it seemed like you were just like, no, all the doctors are on this side. Well, no, they're not. I definitely can mention more. And just because climate change was 97%, that was with a big asterisk that scientists agree. They didn't. And there's been tons of review analysis of the same stuff Michael Grieger looks at, and they're saying the opposite thing. That a high-carb, low-fat diet, 29 of the studies looking at it, the low-carb people did better, had better results on everything they were looking for. There was not one study that proved that the plant-based high-carb diet was better. Yeah. From what I understand, now I see vegan food in stores. This looks highly processed. It looks very suspect, and it's being pushed as a health food, I'm guessing, right? The main ingredients that I saw for flavoring on the things are peas. And the second ingredient, peas weren't the main ingredient, I'm just thinking that's a food, right? But the second ingredient in things is rapeseed oil. Now let me talk just a tiny bit about it. I'm only going to talk about what I found about rapeseed oil. I'll go to that story in a second. There was a guy, orthodoxy, maybe 50 years ago, that was pushing adding some corn oil to the diet to help get people tougher. Would you do that? Would you prescribe cigarettes for people? Because that was orthodoxy for a long time. Since you have no flaws in science, you think they've always been 100% right. I don't want to be the first one to jump on board of something, but I don't want to be the last either. I sat down with a researcher here in Finland. She's a friend of my aunt's. She works for the rapeseed oil industry. And she told me there is a lot of interesting science in the pipeline coming out. That there's, a good ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s. She kept mentioning those types of things. But there were no specifics in what she said. And I realized after pushing her only a little that she was not able to put one study in front of me or Google anything. And she's a researcher looking at rapeseed oil. She said there's stuff in the pipeline. That to me sounds like there is zero evidence currently that it is a health food. And we'll find out later after people have been taking it for years. But the last thing is, can vegan food be really good for the planet if pushing highly processed foods is really going to be the way that we're going to be feeding children? These are highly experimental, it seems. Not everybody can do it. And your diets need to be supplemented. The one I'm trying right now doesn't need to be supplemented. But think about your arguments, Hench. First off, when you're arguing about somebody's look, shit, man, not very much of an impressive one on you, too. I saw only a few pictures, but in everything you look pretty short and fat. Not mad at you, man. I'm super long, stretched out, and I've been fat my whole life. I was fat as a young kid. I had all kinds of health problems. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm not better than anybody. But I've had a very hard path to make it where I have. Doesn't make me better than anybody. I just hope that somebody realizes, just because somebody says you can't do it, you don't have to trust people. You don't have to get the 10,000 hours in to become a pro. You've got to be smarter than the rest of the pack. And don't, in matters of fashion, swim like a fish. In matters of principle, stand like a stone. But, weak arguments, Hench. You went after the man just for being a funny-looking guy. It's easy to do that with you. It seems like you're keeping 250 so you can look like you're really buff. Man, it doesn't look very healthy. You've got flabbed a lot of places. But as a trainer that's eating all plant food, shouldn't it be just gone from you? I'm not trying to put videos up where I'm just looking my best. I'm losing constant fat, and somehow I'm adding more muscle without doing any extra stuff. Will it continue? We'll find out. Now, I'm boiling 10 eggs right now. I'm going to eat only the yolks, which is exactly the opposite of what I did 2 years ago, keeping the whites, throwing out the yolks. So, I will say there's one big difference. It was hard for me to start eating this high fat in the beginning. I need no prescriptions anymore. And I've had failed surgeries on me. I've had massive health problems in my past, and right now I'm taking no medications at all. My hormones are the best ever, my feelings are the best ever, and when I eat this egg yolk in a little bit, I gotta be honest, it is one of the most, it just feels like a hug in your belly, man. I eat some of that and I'm like, wow, I feel so good after. It feels like, it's really mental and physical too, so it must be coming from the stomach. It must be the gut lining really likes that type of stuff, or the bugs in my belly that I've made from eating this high fat, high meat diet. Low carb. My body is adjusted to it. But hey man, I'm interested to hear what you say. I'm a tiny YouTuber. I'm not trying to really go after you. I'm just interested in the arguments. I found Michael Grieger to be very useful information in the beginning, but after I looked at how he does science, I said, oh shit, he has huge flaws in the way he does it. And he just comes to an understanding, this is bad, this is good right now. I don't even trust that avocados are going to be the savior of the planet. It seems to be getting a lot of people killed in other countries, and we're shipping avocados across the planet. How's that good for the environment? So, I don't like hurting animals, but I think it's worse to hurt pregnant women and children. And from what I understand, pregnant women, is it many of them, or it's not accepted for it, or like veganism is not something that's should be done for pregnant women. Is that right? I don't remember. Anyway, I've given you enough, man. Seriously, weak arguments, weak body. Unless you're 60, then hey, man, I give it to you. But dude, it clearly looks like you've just been on juice and the juicer. It's fine. I don't mind, but tell people the truth, man. Tell people the truth. Yeah, all right. Cheers.